Blue and red lights flashed across my backyard like fireworks that forgot the sky. The music cut off mid-beat and everyone froze. My grill hissed burgers still smoking while Karen from the HOA stood in the middle of my grass like she owned the place, her phone held high like a sword. She pointed at me, her voice sharp as glass. "Officer over here, he's breaking a dozen rules." But when the cuffs finally clicked shut, they weren't on my wrists. They were on hers. How in the world did a simple backyard BBQ turn into that scene? Let me take you back. My name's Jason Miller. My wife, Emily, and I live on Maple Grove Circle with our son, Noah. He's 7, obsessed with dinosaurs, pickles, and racing our golden retriever Scout. That weekend, we wanted to do something kind. Something simple. A welcome home BBQ for our neighbor, Mr. Walker, a quiet Army vet who had just come back from the hospital. The man once helped me fix my mailbox without me even asking. He's the kind of neighbor you'd bend over backward for. So we printed flyers. Welcome home. Mr. Walker, backyard BBQ. 3:07 p.m. Family friendly, come hungry, and slipped them into every mailbox, even Karen's. Karen, 3 houses down. HOA Board Secretary blazer pressed so stiff it could cut you pen that clicked like a judge's gavel, and a smile that always felt rehearsed. From day one, she had been a shadow on our block warning letters for trash cans left out a few minutes too long. Fines for porch lights not replaced fast enough, even an email accusing Scout of being unsupervised livestock. Yeah, livestock. So I wasn't surprised when she showed up that morning. I was rubbing spices on ribs. Emily was setting up lemonade. Noah was tying red and blue balloons to the fence. Then I heard it, click, click, click. There she was at the edge of my driveway. "Good morning," she said, that thin smile slicing her face. "I noticed your flyer. I wanted to save you a lot of trouble. I tried to keep it friendly." "Morning, Karen. It's just a small get-together, mostly neighbors. You're welcome to join us." Her eyes scanned my setup like a barcode scanner. Balloons aren't permitted on exterior fence lines. Section 5.3. Gatherings of more than 10 guests require a 2-week written notice. Section 8.1. And that sign, Section 2.4, prohibits signage. Emily, patient as ever, countered gently. That rule's for street parties, not backyard events. We measured the grill. It's 11 feet from the fence, one over the requirement. And the sign is inside our yard. Karen sniffed like she smelled smoke from a grill that wasn't even lit yet. "If I smell smoke, I'll have to document it for management." Then she clicked her pen again and walked away. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd leave it at that, but I should have known better. By mid-afternoon, the party was in full swing. Mr. Walker arrived to applaud, his cane steady in one hand, his eyes misting when he saw the neighbors cheering. Music played softly. Kids chased Scout across the lawn, and Sarah, the shy new neighbor, smiled for the first time since moving in. It was everything I wanted it to be. Everything except Karen. She hovered outside the fence like some wildlife photographer phone up, narrating loudly. Open flame hazard. Decibel reading documented. She treated us like criminals under surveillance. Emily whispered, "Be kind anyway," so I offered her a veggie burger. She muttered, "I don't eat during investigations." By 5 o'clock, things were too good. That's when the gate latch rattled. At first I thought Scout bumped it, but no. The screws squeaked, the latch gave, and the gate burst open. Karen stormed in, flanked by 2 men in polo shirts with the management company logo and another guy with a clipboard. "Cease and desist," she barked, striding across my grass like it belonged to her. "This event is in violation of HOA policy. This yard is under inspection." I held up my hand. "Karen, you can't just walk into our backyard. This is private property." One of the management guys hesitated. "Maybe we should—" "No," Karen snapped, cutting him off. "We have to enforce. We have to set a precedent." Mike, my neighbor with the booming laugh, stepped up beside me. Calm, solid. "Ma'am, the gate was latched. You forced it." She swung her camera toward him. Documented. Aggressive neighbor behavior. And then she said it, "I'm calling 911. Dangerous, unauthorized gathering. Open flames. Safety hazard. My heart thudded like a drum. I glanced at Emily, her hand trembling on Noah's shoulder though her face stayed calm. For a second, I wondered if she was right all along, if throwing this BBQ was a mistake. My stomach twisted. Was I about to be hauled away in front of my son for grilling burgers in my own yard? The sirens grew louder. Blue and red lights rolled over the fence over the trees across the stunned faces of my neighbors. 2 officers walked through my broken gate. Karen's voice pitched high with triumph. "Over here, officer! Arrest him! He's the one!" Every breath in my chest felt like glass. I thought, this is it. But then I noticed what the officers noticed. The private property sign nailed inside my fence. The broken latch dangling loose. Karen standing in my yard, not outside it. Her phone raised her chin high, ignoring my repeated requests to leave. The taller officer turned to her. "Ma'am, you forced entry onto private property." Karen straightened her blazer. "I am acting under HOA authority." The officer's face didn't change. HOA rules don't override state law. The shorter officer moved fast. His cuffs glinted in the flashing light. Click. Cold silver snapped around Karen's wrists. Her face morphed from triumph to shock in half a second. "What?" "No, you don't understand. I'm the HOA secretary." The taller officer shook his head. "You're under arrest for trespassing." Gasps rippled through the yard. Kids clutched popsicle sticks like tiny flags. Adults murmured, "About time." Mr. Walker leaned on his cane, his voice carrying stronger than I'd ever heard it. "We've let this go on too long." That's when the folder spilled from Karen's handbag, scattering across the grass. Papers fluttered everywhere. Neighbors bent to pick them up, and their faces hardened. "Wait a second, this has my name on it," one said. Another voice rose trembling with fury. "These are foreclosure filings." I grabbed a sheet and read it. Lists of addresses on our street, so-called violations, notes like potential grounds for forced sale. Names of my neighbors written like targets, and at the top, Phase 2 acquisition plan. My stomach dropped. This wasn't about balloons or grills. Karen had been building cases house by house to push families out and resell their homes. The neighbors erupted. Mike waved a paper, his voice thunderous. "So, this is what you've been doing, spying on us, trying to steal our homes." Karen cuffed and pale stammered, "No, it's not like that. I was protecting property values." But no one believed her anymore. People shouted about the times she fined them for basketball hoops for chalk art for crooked mailboxes. Sarah clutched a paper that labeled her vulnerable to financial strain and burst into tears. For years we'd stayed quiet, swallowing the fines, the warnings, the threats. But standing there watching her dragged toward the gate, the whole block finally spoke out. Every skeleton came tumbling from her closet, and she had nowhere left to hide. Karen twisted, shouting over her shoulder as the officers led her away. "This isn't over. You'll all regret this. I'll sue. I'll have your houses taken." But her voice cracked, drowned by the roar of neighbors who'd had enough. And in that moment I realized something. It wasn't just Karen on trial. It was the entire way she had used HOA power as a weapon. She thought fear and control could keep us silent forever. But she underestimated us. She underestimated what happens when neighbors stand together. So yes, the cuffs clicked shut on her wrists instead of mine. Yes, the whole block gasped at the sight. But the real victory wasn't the arrest. It was the shift in the air the moment fear gave way to courage. And if you want the lesson from all this, it's simple: power built on fear always collapses when people stand side by side.